My journey in Ukraine lasted a whole year and a half.
Hello everyone and welcome to On Human Journey. Today my guest is Zhanna Galeyeva, who is the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Bird of Light Foundation.
And so the Bird of Light was created for that mission. So I was planning to go to Ukraine from Egypt 5 days, meet my father, come back and launch the brand. How can I be of service? How can I help by helping other women? 11 ambulances, we brought tons and tons of medical supplies. We've helped more than 600,000 people across Ukraine. There are a lot of situations right now in Ukraine when soldiers are coming back and it's difficult for them to be in the very first month of invasion when big institutional organizations were not even there yet. I miss my land so much. It's New York, right? If I happen to be in the right place in the right time, in the right moment,
I couldn't even assume a thought that I could change something.
Rules taking us away from the authenticity that we are. I'm just a human who is experiencing life.
Hello everyone and welcome to On Human Journey. Today my guest is Zhanna Galeyeva, who is the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Bird of Light Foundation. And I'm so happy that you are here in Milan today, that you agreed to talk to me about your life and your human journey. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Yuna. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's start with a brief introduction. We've met several times before. We've been collaborating together briefly, but for my listeners and for my audience, could you give a brief introduction how you perceive and introduce yourself in this world?
My name is Zhanna. I'm Ukrainian American, and I'm just a human who is experiencing life and responding to the stimulus of this life experience. And if you wanted to ask me how do I introduce myself in the professional context, then I am the co-founder of Bird of Light Foundation, a charitable organization that has begun its journey in Ukraine since the beginning of the full-scale invasion. We are focusing on humanitarian aid across the country, helping children, orphans, displaced population, at some point military. And today we've helped more than 600,000 people across Ukraine. And it's really hard to summarize. What does it entail? I hope that through the conversation we will be able to dive into some of that.
We will. This is so impressive with all the work that you're doing. But I want to structure our conversation a little bit as a story, historically. So we will dive deep into the work of Bird of Light and what you're doing in Ukraine in a couple of minutes. But before Bird of Light happened, how did your life look like? From what I know, you had completely different idea of a Bird of Light, and you were carrying also a very important and meaningful mission. So diving back into many years back, how did you end up being Ukrainian American? How did you end up in the States, and how did US change your life?
Yeah, so I was born in a small town in Ukraine, an hour away from Kiev, and my childhood was very exciting. Actually, I was spending a lot of time in the nature, and I was actually living right across the bus station, and a lot of times I would find myself staring through the window, looking at this bus station, and this little me was always feeling inside that one day I will take one of these buses and I will go far away.
Wow.
Yes, there was just this inner knowledge about that, and when the time came, I went to study in Kiev a really interesting experience to be in a big city.
So you moved to Kiev?
Yes, I moved to Kiev and I studied there for 3 years. At that point, my mom was already in the United States. We have relatives in America, so I went to New York in 2005 for the first time. And that was really quite an experience. Although I remember that my first impression of New York City, the big New York City, with all 5 boroughs, was not really impressive, I would say.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, oh, Kiev is much better. Oh, Ukraine is so much better.
That's so interesting. You know, so many people who come to New York, me including, fascinated with the city, so in love with, you know, how big it is, how cosmopolitan it is, how kind of, you know, impressed by Manhattan and the tall buildings and advertisement and the New York in the culture, in the movies, in songs. So how was it for you?
Yeah, I remember that I had a very strong identity as a Ukrainian, and I probably was not getting it so much in the beginning, like all this noise and all this people all sorts of people from everywhere. I don't know if I necessarily accustomed to it right away. It was just very shocking. But of course, I loved the idea of New York City, Sex and the City, and the scene and the shoes and everything. And I knew then that one day I'll be living here. I don't know why.
So you didn't come and stay?
I came and I spent a summer. Mm-hmm. And then I left. I went back to Ukraine and I went back to my university, and it was quite an adjustment because, you know, once you're back, that's when it hits you. That's when you're like, oh my God, that there is a whole different world out there. And I was part of it for a short brief. And that's when I got into quite a depression, to be honest, to be back in Ukraine. I couldn't really relate so much anymore. Something shifted, and that's when I realized I need to go back.
Was it your first trip abroad?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was actually, was it? Yeah, I think so, yeah. It was my first trip abroad. I was from small town, so it was all so new, right? And it quite impressed me a lot. And then my next year, I went again to spend summer in the United States, and I stayed, and I didn't come back. And I went to study. I went to college, and I got a student visa, and I started to work. I started to learn English because my English was really, really poor. Like, couldn't speak, but I was really like somehow lucky because I was hired to work on Broadway in the office right away, which is really interesting.
Nice.
Yes, and I literally couldn't say a word. I had all the text written down in front of me. Like, hell, when I had to pick up the phone, I was like, hello, MIC and Associates, how can I help you? And then I was praying that nobody asked me anything complicated because I wouldn't know how to answer that.
Wow, this is so brave, super brave. For me, when I moved to Italy, I was super lucky to have my job, which I was working remotely, and I didn't even think about trying to find work in Milan because I was like, I don't speak any Italian. This is going to be impossible. Mm-hmm. I'm working in my international environment. I'm happy. So I think it's really brave trying to, you know, build your life, especially when you don't even have that connection with the native, like with the language that people speak around.
Yeah, it's you know, one of the classics said, you live as many lives as many languages you can express yourself in.
That's so true.
Yeah, and I remember I'm such a perfectionist in things, so I just wouldn't speak. Nobody would ever hear me speaking. I was just accumulating the vocabulary, and a lot of vocabulary I was able to capture from meetings and calls that I was overhearing from my boss. and fantastic guy, and I learned so much from him and his wife. They both hired me. His wife gave me the interview, and I was like, I would never hire myself in that state of English, but they hired me, and I'm so grateful to them. And then one day I just started to began like just in one day. So I literally like was hoarding all the words and all the expressions, and then one day I just began to speak, and that was the journey.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you came to New York, you stayed there, and you were working on Broadway. So your whole life and career was focused on cultural work, on work in arts, in creative sector.
Well, not exactly. I was working in the office environment, kind of, and I was going to college, so it was like a sort of job to help me out while I'm studying. In college, so back in Ukraine, I was studying interior design, and so I wanted to continue my journey in marketing, because I thought perhaps it's a somewhat creative way to be in the business world. And I went for marketing in Baruch College in New York City. But then I kept on changing my majors. Like, you have no idea. Like, every other semester, like, they would be like, oh, okay, there she comes again. Because I couldn't figure out what I want to do. Nothing actually fit. I was never a person who could be put in a box and be like, okay, I'm going to be this. That's it. I was like, oh, no. So I kept on taking so many classes that made no sense. Like art, or like acting, or choir, or camera classes, like things that didn't really contribute to my major, because my major was, but I was just exploring what is interesting, what is exciting. And through this journey I was meeting so many different people, right? Different kids, different students. And Baruch College is a college where people, it's not like people live on campus, it's the place where people come to study and they go to work, right? So it's like really not a classical, American college in the sense that you live on campus and it's just studying. No. Although some kids did that. And so it was just, I feel like for me, that period was essentially a period of getting to know people, networking, meeting so many new individuals, and living like New York life, right? And that's why today I know so many people from different walks of life, and I was experimenting with what do I want to do, and it was really difficult, because I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I can do this. I went for pre-medical school. One day I'm like, okay, why don't I go for pre-med education? Because I'm kind of good at it. Because I was very good in chemistry, for instance. I was tutoring my friends in chemistry, and it was going well. I could do it, but then I learned that, in order to be a nurse or a doctor, you have to wake up very early, and I'm like,
Also, so many years to study.
It's so many years. Yeah. That was never my thing, I could study, but I'm free spirit. I cannot do that for too long.
I love this. I think this is the reason moving to New York, I think, was the reason why you could do all of these things. For me, when I was growing up in Ukraine and choosing my studies, I wanted to be a journalist, but then somehow, and I actually, when I was a kid, I was trying acting and I was participating in this type of things. And then, at some point, you keep hearing all of these things from your parents and surroundings, how difficult it is to find a job, how difficult it is to make a living as a journalist or as an actor or anything. Ukrainian show business was quite hostile, in my opinion. And I was set on the idea that I need to get a real job. and get a real profession as a professional degree. So my choices were law, economics. And I went and I did both of them. I did at the same time, because this is how scared I was about my future. So I did at the same time bachelor's full-time in law from Kyiv National University and part-time international economics from another university. And I was just like finishing my classes in the morning in law and then running to another university. So for the first 2 years of my life, 2 years of school life, I didn't have a life. And I couldn't even assume a thought that I could change something. Because I tried working as a lawyer and I realized that I don't want to be a lawyer. I didn't like the things I was asked to do. I was like, this is so boring.
Yeah. I remember my law class in college because I also took law just to experiment. Like, I don't know about it, But I did enjoy psychology, and I actually ended up graduating with psychology degree as a result of all of that. Psychology and communication. But yeah, you know what? I have to say that my mom, she's fantastic because she never had pressured me about anything. She's just always like, whatever, do. Like, she trusts me so much. I think in my previous life, she must have been my daughter. Because we have this very interesting dynamic that I feel that we have a really, really warm relationship, and she trusts me so fully, and she never said, she never put any pressure on me about doing something particular, because she just wanted me, I guess, to experience life. And perhaps her journey, because she had me when she was really young, at 19. And she wanted everything but the same journey for me.
And she probably trusted that, since she was okay, she had you so young and she could figure it out, so you can figure it out too, and, you'll be all right. As long as you're happy, you'll be all right.
Yeah, I think so. And speaking of acting, I just when you said it, I also took acting classes, and I acted on stage in college performances, but I also was in several episodes in shows like New York, like there's a criminal show called Law and Order. I was in that one. So cool. I was also in one movie, which I swear to God, I never tried to do any of that. It's just like I happened to be, it's New York, right? I happened to be in the right place, in the right time, in the right moment. And okay, now I'm on the set. And, I never kind of thought that I need to hold on to something so much that probably someone else would be like, okay, this is a hint from the universe. Maybe I shall try exploring this career. Maybe I shall try making contacts. I was like, oh, that was a fun day, and then I proceed with something else. So it's it feels like the whole experience is very eclectic. Eclectic experience altogether. Yeah,
but maybe you were kind of so open to try so many different things that opportunities kept coming.
Yeah, I think when you open, you indeed when you're desperate for something, that's when it runs away from you. I think when you just let it all happen naturally and organically, you experiment.
Yeah. So then after college and, after you've tried so many different things and you graduated, what was your journey like afterwards?
I started traveling.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I worked for I volunteered / worked for the Harvard Law School Association. At first it was just volunteering, and then at the end it turned to be my kind of job. And I was traveling a lot. I was traveling different places around the world, and we were creating different events, panels, and I guess, that's where it comes from. Just yesterday I saw this little video on Instagram that all your talents and inclinations are visible before until you're 7 years old. So like during this period, whatever is like spark you have inside of you, it will show.
Really?
Yes, and then we go into this whole journey of trying to be serious and getting the serious jobs and all of that, which is great. Like no, like it's fantastic. We need all this in the world, but you know we get also very detached from who we actually are. So yeah, so until 7 is when we show our real potential and real inclinations. So why am I speaking about this is because my mom always told me that when I was little in the kindergarten, and the teachers were telling her, you know, Zhanna has this ability to organize kids in a way that everybody has a role and everybody is playing the same game but different portions of that game. And in some way it all works out, and everybody listens to her for some reason, and nobody's crying, everybody's just engaged in some way, engaged, right? And that's, you know, back to the to that, like I guess I have very good organizational skills and planning skills and putting things together and seeing the big picture. So helping to organize events, and I did it for another company in New York. Actually, it was a really interesting experience. I just remembered I worked for this event planning company, and we were doing like majestic, gorgeous gala dinners, and for like Yankees homecoming dinner.
Wow.
And Rita Hayworth Rita Hayworth Foundation, all these like famous and rich people were coming. So I was like around a lot of people with money, influence, and status. Just like being around that. So yeah, that probably also gave me some sort of, you know, experience.
Yeah, this is so amazing. When I was a kid, my grandma was taking me in the forest. We lived right by the forest, and we were going to harvest mushrooms. How do you call it?
Beautiful.
So she would like come to my kindergarten, pick me up, and we would just go and spend hours in the forest. We would have our little picnic there. She would bring homemade food, and she was also, you know, looking for the mushrooms to then come home and cook. And so she taught me how to differentiate from poisonous mushrooms and good ones. And I remember she's been telling me this story for so many years. Like every time we meet, she's telling me this story. That at some point, she's like, I was kind of lost. She was trying to find me, and then she's coming to find me, and I'm in this bush, and there is like this huge white mushroom, enormous. And she was like, Yulia, how did you find it? And I was like, no, I just looked around. And I realized, now that you're telling me this story about the kids from up to 7 years old, that I love staying somewhere close to the nature, even though I resisted a lot. And at the same time, in my work, in everyday life, I'm usually just trying to find the most practical solutions to whatever there is. I think this is very true about kids, and also because when you're very young, you're so much more sensitive to everything that's going on, and you can understand people's moods and what's going on so much better. And then when we grow up, we get clouded by all of the stigma and social norms and expectations, and having too much knowledge so that we don't rely on our sensors anymore.
That's so true. That's so true. Yeah. And you know, the social pressure and social rules are taking us away from the authenticity that we are, and it's so important. I feel like to reconnect and be in touch with your inner core and with your inner child, which is every psychologist is talking about it, right? We are working right now at Bird of Light with a group of psychologists developing a program for the psycho-emotional rehabilitation for the soldiers, the veterans. And it's a really interesting process to create a program that will work and that will help them heal and transform.
What does it look like?
Well, I'm not going to talk about the whole program, but essentially the idea is to reconnect these boys with their own identity after they have been in a unit. Their identity had been lost. They become, I am a soldier. And so the idea is to transition this identity, I am a soldier, as part of the we are, like we unit, into the I am, find my identity in this unit, and then find my myself again, but new me, new version of me, the one that has been through all this experience, and then reconnect with his family, his wife, his girlfriend, his children, because there are a lot of situations right now in Ukraine when soldiers are coming back and it's difficult for them to be in a civil context, knowing what's going on, being through what they have been through. So a lot of this work will be also to reconnect to the inner child inside and reconnect to that authentic self. And the methodology is going to be so beautiful. It's going to be rooted in folkloric traditions and in some rituals that are connecting them to Earth, to Mother Earth, to the elements, to the fire, releasing aggression through the martial arts, and like connecting to the emotions in the waters. Like there will be, I mean, I don't want to be like it's going to be a really, really powerful experience. And I'm really, really excited about it. Perhaps it's my most favorite project right now that we're working on, and it's going to be taking place in Carpathian Mountains. Perfect. In nature. So yeah, I don't know how we dived into that right now, but the idea is, yes, reconnecting to the inner child and healing it. And I personally went through that experience because I don't know if I told you this, probably yes. The reason why I went to Ukraine in December 2021 is because after a long years of disconnection from my biological father, I had decided, well, not me, the higher forces decided to navigate me to meet my bio father.
What do you mean by higher forces?
Oh, that's another story. That's another chapter. How do we enter into it?
So we are coming back to sort of your life right before Bird of Light.
Okay, great, fantastic. So, okay, my life right before Bird of Light, I was traveling around the world. I was seeing the world. I was flying. I was coming to Ukraine periodically. Whenever I would be in Milano or in Roma, in Berlin, I would always like fly in for a few days to spend a few days. But I didn't really keep in touch with many people besides my family. So classmates or friends. Somehow I so much integrated into New York life that has become my new identity, and I really shifted completely. Not that I was rejecting my Ukrainian identity, but I somehow just like almost like forgot about it in some way. It was
also because you've been in the US for so long.
And all my friends, I have all my friends were everything but Ukrainians. Like Brazil, Spain, Italy, France, everything somehow, but not Ukrainians. I don't know why.
I feel you so much because I had pretty much the same experience when I moved to Italy. In the beginning, I just wanted to start a new life, and moving out of Ukraine, kind of exploring also through my work. I was working with so many people from all over the world, traveling, and so I had all these new friends from everywhere around the world, and I was fine. I was like, whenever people were asking me in the beginning, "Oh, where are you from?" I was like, Ukraine. This was like 2018, 2019. Yeah, pretty much like this first 2 years, I was like kind of built a wall between my Ukrainian life and this is new me. I live in Milan. All of the. I was also 20, 21, 22 years old, so I just needed to kind of dissociate. But very quickly it caught up. Like, it just came back to me, to recognize that the best way is to combine to be you as you are. Born in Ukraine, grew up in Ukraine, of Ukrainian heritage, but living an international life or living New York life, living Italian life. And I think kind of being true to who you are, your circumstances, because I also cannot stay here in Italy and deny the fact that I'm here in Italy and only live the Ukrainian life. It's also self-denial in many ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you need that time to arrive to that point, and you need to explore that person who you are in that moment.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a journey, right? I wouldn't say that I was denying my Ukrainian thing. I was just kind of like so immersed in everything that was going on around me, and there was so much that I just I considered myself a global citizen and a New Yorker, a global. So I didn't practice my Ukrainian at all, and. Yeah, it took me a moment. And how do I sway into this?
So when you were traveling all over the place, and you were doing also arts, and you were working with fashion industry.
That was also a moment, yes, yeah. Actually. That was a moment as well. I was working at Bergdorf Goodman, and that's one of the fancy department stores in New York City, and I was seeing that was always like working with celebrities and like dressing them up and helping them out, and that was part of the journey as well. I kind of like speaking about this, but I don't even like okay, that was some version of me, but what do I have in common with that person right now? Just the memory. Just I remember this, but I don't really like.
So how did you change?
Okay, when did it begin? I think it started with yoga. In 2010, I started to practice yoga, and I got on my beginning of my spiritual journey, I guess. And fast forward, it led me to a whole different world, to the point that I found myself living in the jungles in Costa Rica and then in Mexico a little bit, and different places, and I was connecting more and more to this philosophy of worshiping and honoring the Mother Earth. And I didn't eat meat. I went to live in ashram as well. I forgot. Wow. I lived in the ashram, and I meditated a lot, and I did vipassana and silence retreats and yoga teacher trainings and all sorts of very immersive experiences that were transforming me from inside, and eventually led me to a pilgrimage journey.
Wow.
In Egypt, and yeah, and it's a very fast kind of like fast kind of like storytelling. But in one of the experiences, I was in the jungles and I was with the elders, with the shamans, and I had a really profound vision that I remembered pieces of my childhood that I've never ever remembered, like just out of the blue. And I came out of it, and there was like a sharing circle at some point, and I took a microphone and I spoke about it, and I said I just remembered things I never ever remembered. It was like very profound things from when I was like 5, when I was 3, when I was 6, a series of these things. And once you remember them, you completely remember them. You're like, oh my God, of course. It's not like you're making this up. You actually remember them. And it was just it was given to me in this kind of fractional kind of storytelling with a lot of blank spots. And I spoke later to the shaman, to the elder, and I said, look, I remember this, but I don't remember this piece. And she's very connected to the energy from above, and she said, you will have to figure this out. I'm not going to be telling you this, but you will have to unlock this puzzle yourself, and it will be given to you in portions that you can handle, because like it's too much. I mean, she didn't say too much, but as it turned out to be, it was too much to be just given to me right away. And and so that was the first seed of curiosity about, hey, wait a minute, there is something missing here, some piece of me that is just like not quite I cannot reconnect to. And I remember I think it was I just recorded a few songs. So I came back from jungles and I dived into this music journey, and I recorded a couple of songs. I started writing songs, and one of my songs was about Mavka, the Ukrainian folk character. And I don't even know why it came through. I wrote that song in like 3 minutes.
Wow.
With melody, lyrics, and it was a whole story. And I remember that when I was in 8th grade, I played Mavka, Mavka Lisova by Lesia Ukrainka. I played it in a school theater.
So it came back to you.
It came back to me, and I wrote the song out of the blue. And by the way, 2 years later, Ukrainian Animagrad released a Mavka cartoon. They recently, which was like so I was like 2 years in advance with that song that I just wrote, and I because I even remembered some pieces of the monologues that I played. And the whole idea of Mavka is she's this creature of the forest. She's a spirit of the forest, protector of the nature. She's the first one to wake up after long winter. She's like a soul of the forest. And that was really much aligned with my whole belief system, like philosophy, religion, if you will, of connecting to the Mother Earth, connecting to the spirit of the nature, right? Like this whole theme. And Mavka to me is this kind of Ukrainian version of that, because in let's say in the religion where I am, I don't want to call it religion, but in the spiritual world where I'm from, it's called Gaia, right?
Okay.
Gaia. And so in Ukraine, it's kind of like Mavka, Mavka Lisovas, it's the same. And so I remember sitting right after I wrote a song, like a few weeks later, I'm sitting in the meditation, and I could meditate like really long time, 4 hours straight. I could sit in the meditation, and I would be connecting to cosmos, getting uploads, and getting all the ideas for what I'm gonna do and create. And I literally had this moment when I grabbed the floor, and I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm so far away from my homeland.
Where were you at that moment?
I was in New York.
In New York?
Yeah, I was on the 12th floor of my apartment on 57th Street, and I'm like grabbing the floor, and I'm like, I want to go home. I want to go to my land. Like I connected. I really I had my eyes closed, and I felt like this stream of energy coming from me, from like space through me, connecting me through this 12 floors down, through the land, through the ocean to Ukraine. And I'm like feeling, and I'm like, I miss my land so much. So much. And I started crying and feelings with every cell of my body that this is not my land is elsewhere.
So not your land in New York, but in Ukraine. And this was 2021.
That was 2021. And then in a month, I go to this pilgrimage journey when I traveled through Egypt during winter solstice and with a group of friends. And it's very intentional. We go to temples. We do all different rituals. And there's a lot of people who know in depth the goddesses and gods of Egypt, and we do like all this like very immersive experience, and it's interesting because after this journey, a lot of everybody's life changed in this. Whoever was there, yeah, everybody.
Also, if I may add, your look today gives me like the Cleopatra vibe.
In fact, I have this bracelet actually. This bracelet is from that trip.
Nice.
I got it in
this one.
Thank you.
It's like the sun, the big sun.
Yeah, it also has a story, but this one is actually from that trip in Egypt. We went to Isis temple in Luxor, and I remember we were going through this portal together in like door portal, and we took a hand, me and my girlfriend Ilona, we took hands she's from Poland. She was also manifesting some life-changing experiences. We held hands, and she looked at me. I looked at her. I was like, "You ready?" I said, "Yeah, we're ready." And we went through this portal, and after that, on the winter solstice, we were inside of the Pyramid of Giza, which was reserved only for us early in the morning. So it was a group of 18, and we were meditating, and during this powerful meditation, I had this moment when this like kind of light came off from the sky on me, and it was like an egg shaped thing, and it took me in, and it told me, you gotta go to Ukraine and meet your biological father.
Wow.
And 2 days later, I was on a plane to go to Ukraine.
From Egypt. Wow.
Yes. And the idea was to go there for 5 days, check mark. I meet my father.
But you knew where he was and who he was.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so difficult to find out. And also, there were people who could point to me, and like that was not a problem. I knew. So the idea was to stay there for 5 days and come back to New York because I was about to launch my artisanal fashion brand, which back to the Gaia and all the philosophy of worshiping and honoring the earth. I wanted to start a fashion brand that would support women in remote communities across the world, women who do things with their own hands, artisans. And I went to Mexico, and I traveled to Costa Rica and different places, and I was collecting beautiful handmade things like belts, bags, dresses, different accessories, earrings, all different things that women make. And my idea was to create a platform so that these women can sell their things. And also the idea was to promote this kind of fashion, to promote authentic, one-of-a-kind relic, like pieces that are made with so much intention, with a prayer, with a song, because these women, it's a whole ritual when they make it. And for me, it's just so beautiful, like more beautiful than any other fast fashion brand can ever dream to create.
Because they put their heart and soul into it.
Yes, and it's just so beautiful. And the idea was like, how can I be of service? How can I help? And it just also came to me like help by helping other women, right? So that was the idea. I'm gonna help other women to have financial independence and to popularize the fashion of different countries, different cultures, because I believe if we know about each other's cultures and different traditions, we will know deeper about each other, and then we will also honor and respect each other more. And I feel like we can also exchange in this way and see how much more we have in common than we actually think. Because, for instance, embroidery that Ukrainian culture and tradition has, right? Embroidering vyshyvankas. If you go to Peru, they also do this, right? It's a different Icaros, it's a different motifs, but it's also made as a protection, as a sort of like a prayer for the whoever's wearing it. So all these things were for me like just making so much sense. How can I unite the world?
Such a beautiful mission.
Yeah. And so the bird of light was created for that mission. The bird which is colibri, it's a hummingbird, which is very prominent in the tradition of South American kind of worshipping. It's a bird that brings light and brings joy, and it's very kind of like exciting and happy. So the logo was created as bird of light, artisanal fashion by design. That was supposed to... So I was planning to go to Ukraine from Egypt 5 days, meet my father, come back and launch the brand, because everything was ready. Website, photo shoot, collection, everything. So that was the idea. But my journey in Ukraine lasted a whole year and a half.
And you're in Ukraine when?
And I'm in Ukraine December 2021. And on my 37th birthday, I go to my father's place and I ring the bell. And
on your birthday?
On my birthday. And it was quite a moment, I have to say. It was like a slow-mo kind of moment, because I just need to give a bit backstory a little bit. I grew up thinking that my father is an evil man. I grew up thinking that he's very dangerous and I should stay away from him and avoid him at all costs because he's no good. So growing up with this idea kind of, in some way planted in me a feeling that perhaps if my father is such a bad person, and I'm part of him, there must be something bad in me. And I kept looking for it.
Did you have reasons to believe that he was evil?
Unfortunately, children absorb and form their fears and their perception of others and the world around them according to what they hear from their parents. So I did, as a child, I heard very too much, I would say, complaints about him.
It's also, families do that.
Unfortunately, and that's like, I know it's not my story is not a single story, and I know it's very kind of like revealing, and it's very open, because I don't want to take blames and say like my mom did this or that, but I did go through that experience when I met him, and when I met him, and when I saw that this is like absolutely not that kind of person that I was growing up thinking. It hit me so hard, because I realized that I was deprived of my father all my life, thinking that he's a monster. but he's not. That was really like, that was such a strong experience. I literally, I went into the darkest hole of just regrets and pain and crying and blaming my mom and all of that. Now it's all in the past, right? Because the healing happened, karmic knot has been removed, and we passed that. But in that moment, it was really, really difficult. And I know that it's such a responsible thing to have children and to be wise around them about what you say and how you communicate and what, because they absorb everything. And you know, I was a little girl who just got the whole thing wrong.
Yeah. So you stayed in Ukraine to spend time with him?
Yes, you know, I thought I was gonna stay there for 5 days, and it turned out to be a month, and then another month, because I would go on a date with him. We literally were going on dates, and then 2 days I would need to recuperate because it was so much emotion, so much information. Also, like, it was so beautiful our first meeting. It felt like think about it, we didn't talk for 34 years, 32 years, and then in 5 minutes it felt like we never were separated. It was just such a strong bond, and it was so beautiful and so warm. And the reason, remember I told you I didn't remember my childhood at all, like I just had gaps of like, well, how can I don't remember? It's because I didn't have any pictures of my childhood, because my mom, when she left my father, she didn't take any pictures, so I didn't have a reference point to like anything. And then on our first date, he brought this album of pictures, and Yulia, like, that moment is just something. I opened this album, and as I go from page to page, I'm just getting this like,
You remembered everything?
It's black and white, Soviet Union, black and white pictures, but I remember everything in color. I open the page, and it comes back in color. I remember that my socks that I'm wearing had blue, green, yellow stripe. The doll next to me, I remember she had polka dot dress and red hair. Like, I remember colors, and it all starts like just coming back into my memory. And that's why I was telling you, like, I would go on a date with him, and then for 2 days I would just stay and process all of this, because I would just lay flat in my bed and process, and I literally felt like my neurological connections in my brain are being rewired and reinvigorated in some way, because it was just so much information that was lost and forgotten, and suddenly it all came. Wow. With our conversations, with memories, with things he was telling me about me when I was little, and also like seeing this man and seeing how much I'm like him, like in the gestures, in the way I tell stories, I never had that before. Wow. I never had that in my life, and there I was, and it was like, oh my God, I actually have a father. But the highlight of all of this was when he wouldn't let me in his apartment for a long time, because he kept saying, so we kept seeing each other, but in a neutral territory, like cafe, here, there. And then I was about to leave Ukraine. I was like, okay, I kind of completed my mission, but it still felt like something is not yet done. But I was like also thinking it's time to go, like I have to go back to my New York life and all of that. And I sat in the meditation, I remember, and I see this vision, like the vision of me going to his his place, and insisting to go in, and just saying, look, I'm going to just come in, I'm going to give you a hug, and I'm going to leave. I don't know when I'm coming back, right? I'm going to US. So before my taxi was waiting for me, and I enter his place, and I said, look, you don't need to let me in, just come out, I'm going to hug you. And he when I went upstairs to his second floor, the door into the apartment was open. And there was like, I'm entering into my childhood, like the apartment that I grew up in. Because it
Didn't change.
No, nothing changed.
Wow.
Same water, what are they called? Wallpapers. Same everything. Much older, obviously. And kind of abandoned, kind of like not in a good condition, because he lived like a hermit life for the last many years, and that's when it hit me. And there is this like, his friends were all like sculptors and artists and painters, so he had all these like interesting objects around house, and I was always remembering this kind of strange objects, and I'm like, where do they come from? Like, where do they come from in my head?
You took so much from your dad in your creative life.
Yes, in fact, which when I learned about him more, I realized that I'm so much more like him in my character, much more actually.
It's true that the girls are usually very much alike their dads. Sometimes they say that you'll have a happy life if you're like very similar to your dad, and boys are usually very similar to their moms. That's when they have, you know, that happy life.
Yeah.
Somehow it's all about in contrast.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, maybe, I don't know. Probably yes. If I look at my brother, like but my brother is much like, he's like my mom and dad together. Well, we are a combination of everything, you know. And then eventually, you know, that's an interesting point here, because meeting my father and connecting to him and recognizing how much alike we are and accepting that part of me, and finally coming to peace with an idea that it's okay to be similar to my father because he's not a monster, you know, which is tragic if you think about it, actually helped me to connect those two pieces of me, mom and dad, and find my own self, because I'm like them and like them, but I'm also not like them. I'm like me. You
That's
know,
beautiful.
That's.
But did you stay? You didn't go on a taxi.
Oh yes, so taxi, right? So imagine. So I walk up the stairs just like in my vision. I walk into this apartment, and the apartment is another, you know, journey to see all these masks, all this. I'm like, oh my God, I remember this, and these wallpapers. But the most like highlight of this moment was that when I entered, like I look at him, he's standing in a living room, and then I go like, can I go? And he's like, and I know that's my room, like that's my room. And I go there, Yulia, I walk into this room, and this room is just like them. It's my room. It has dozens of pictures of me on the walls, my baby pictures in the frames, the whole wall covered with my pictures.
He really suffered you not being there.
He really and I looked around, I was just, I couldn't say a word. I was looking at all of this like this, and I turned to look at him, and he's standing in the corner, you know, like he's a big man. He's standing in the corner, and in this moment I realized that I'm looking right inside of his soul, like right inside of his heart, and I'm seeing all his pain. And I'm like looking at him, and I say, I don't understand. And I was looking like at this wall for 40 minutes. I was crying, just like tears were rolling down my cheeks, and he's standing. And I all I could say, I have a short video of that moment actually. I don't even know how I managed to film that. But I said, I don't understand. And what I was not understanding essentially is why was I deprived of having connection to my father all these years? Because he waited for me, and he loves me so much. And you know, I grew up never feeling or experiencing that I'm my father's little girl. like every girl used to have this father figure in her life, and I didn't have that. And then I looked at these pictures, and every single picture, I'm on his shoulders, we like cuddling. He's like, and I'm like, oh my God! So I actually did have that. I did have this healthy upbringing with a girl had a father, and they had this connection. I just got myself like completely disconnected from all of that. Well, not exactly myself. My mom did that, but not to blame her.
But it happened.
Yeah. But and it's also interesting because when I was born, his good friend who was an artist, he painted my room in these characters like the Red Hood and like all different like butterflies. Wow. And I was always like also remembering this like sparks of this characters. I'm like, what is this? And then I turn around, and on the door of my bedroom there is these characters. So the door with these characters is still there. I took a picture of it also because it was so powerful. That room stayed intact for 32 years. Same everything, same water. This is wallpaper, and that's when I was like, and I for 40 minutes or more I stood there, and then I just said, okay, I need to leave now, but I'm not leaving. I couldn't leave, so I got out somehow, and I remember he was waving in the window. And I was looking at him. I was like completely, like crying. And my taxi, the driver is like, "You okay?" I'm like, "I don't know." I'm like, he's like,
stayed there waiting for
he
you.
stayed there waiting for me. and then he's like, "So what do we do?" I'm like, because I was planning to go to Kiev and take an airport, like take a ticket, because I didn't buy a ticket yet. I was just planning to go to Kiev and spend a few days there and then take off. And he's like, so do we go to Kiev? I'm like, yeah, we go to Kiev, but I don't think I'm flying to anywhere. And so that prolonged my time again, because that's when I finally, like, that was the last threshold. When I entered in his apartment, then there was a beautiful time. I was coming to him, cooking with him, we had dinners, I made borscht for him. Yeah, I like hang out with him all the time. It was just such a beautiful time. And I remember it was just a small kitchen, and it's a kitchen where when I was little, and I'm cooking borscht there, and he's sitting on this chair, and I see that it's not comfortable for him because he's a big man, like he really got big over the years. And I'm like, Dad, why don't you, go and lay down, rest? I'm gonna cook. And he's looking at me with he looks like Santa Claus. Like he has this vibe of like big man, beard, like just kind eyes, like very big cheeks. Because he has like Tatar blood. I have Tatar blood. And so he's like this cute face, big face, and he's looking. He's like, I was waiting for this for so many years, and you want me to go and lay in the bed right now? Like we're cooking borscht, what can be more better right now than this? So that was really beautiful. Yeah, that was beautiful. And then the war broke out, and I remember February 24th, we were in Kiev because I basically started my father's health journey. We started to go to diagnostic centers, just checking on his health because he clearly had issues. So that prolonged my stay in the country because I wanted to make sure he's okay and all of that. And we spent a lot of time in clinics and all of that. Oh, and February 24th, I woke up to this sirens early in the morning, and I looked in the window. I was staying at my friend's house in Kiev, in Pechersk. I looked through the window, and I'm like seeing people putting their luggages in the car and taking off. And then the first reaction was, okay, we need to get out of the country. We need to, like my friends from US, everybody started to write to me. And then even my friend from like the special agency in America was like, Zhanna, get out of there. It's going to be serious. I'm like, I'm not getting it out of here yet. So anyways, we took tickets to railroad tickets to leave, and the next ticket available was like in 3 days basically, but that was the the only option. So we took like 4 tickets just to have 4 for whoever needs. And but my friends insisted that I leave the same day, and we took a car, my friend's car, and we started to drive. We drove for 2.5 days. And eventually we reached with thousands of cars. Like we were driving like 4 meters in an hour. You know, it's just a line of cars. And meanwhile, in this direction, there was all the cars with the military cars moving back the opposite direction. And as we were driving outwards from Kiev, we were watching live all the news, everything that was happening. It was just surreal. It was unbelievable. How can this be? Like, it cannot be. And we were seeing like how the Russians were trying to enclose the circle when they moved from north, and we literally, like, there was a moment I remember that we're driving and we literally can, if they, God forbid, close the circle, we might run into them. So it was like this moment. And the moment we kind of got out of this potential circle, the air started to be different. It was like, oh, you know, it's different energy. And we suddenly, I remember.
Was your father with you?
He stayed in Korostyshev, in my hometown. My brother decided to stay in Kiev. He said, you're silly to be on the road. You're like an open target. You cannot, like, why are you doing this? We're in the city. We are in the fortress here. Nothing can happen. Like, it's better to stay. And I didn't know. I didn't know what to, like, what if he's right? What if I'm gonna, like, get him in trouble? Like, I don't know what's right. It was so stressful because you don't know what to do, right? You don't know if better to stay in the city or is it better to get out of it. But I remember the more westwards I was moving, the more I felt like that was the right decision, but the more pressure and tension I was experiencing because my brother stayed in Kiev. And my father is in Korostyshev, and my stepfather is also in Korostyshev, my grandmother. So I remember we stopped in some forest and I prayed so much. I literally like dropped to the ground, and I was just praying so much, like protecting them. And
you got to Western Ukraine.
Yeah, we got to the border with Moldova with an idea to cross the border, leave.
Yeah, and then fly back to US.
I mean, I didn't even know what was next, but the idea was like to get out, right? And then I was standing in the line. At the border, it was like 40 cars in front of us. I was with my friend Isaac, who happened to come to Ukraine to help me out with my journey with father. He was flying from Hawaii to Vienna, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna stop by in Kiev," because we were
so close.
Still very, very close. He's like this. So we were also working on our songs together because we were recording songs together. So he's like, I'm going to stop by in Kiev. We're going to finish the song. I know you're going through your father journey, you know, and it's going to give you a little break, mental break, because we're going to work on music. Then you're going to go with hospitals because we're going to hospitals, like MRI, all like serious diagnostic with my father. And it was really overwhelming because, you know, it's a particular, you know, atmosphere when you're in the hospitals all the time. So Isaac's like, I'm gonna come. And so Isaac ended up being in Kiev when the war broke out, and we so when we finally achieved the border with Moldova, standing in the line there, and he looks at me and he's like, we don't have to leave if you don't want to go. I'm like, thank you for saying that, because it was like, I didn't feel like I would leave. I didn't know what am I going to do, but I couldn't cross that border. And so we turned away from this line. We stayed in the car, like under smarekas, and like somewhere. We slept.
Trees.
We slept in trees, yeah, and we slept for like maybe a few hours. For the first time in 2.5 days, we were drinking Red Bull and like, just driving all the time. And then my friend, she told me, look, you can go to this city of Chernivtsi because my husband's brother is running a rehab center there, and they have beds, so you can stay there, like kind of like stay. So that's how we end up in Chernivtsi. In the middle of the night, we arrived to the city of Chernivtsi, and by the morning of next day, this rehabilitation center received through the night dozens of families, dozens of people with children in their pajamas and flip-flops and with their cats and dogs and just whatnot. And we actually stayed there for a whole month, and that's where Bird of Light was born.
That's where Bird of Light was born.
Yes, in its shape and the form.
Not as a fashion.
Not as a fashion.
Platform.
Yes.
As a charity foundation.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, we were just crowdfunding. We're making vareniki and sending it off to the school that received more than 200 refugees. And we were just coming there, and I learned from the director of the school that they need baby food because there are so many children, and there was no baby food in the region to supply all the baby children. So that was my first initiative, actually. Bird of Life first initiative was, let's crowdfund money for baby food. So all my friends from all over the world, of course, they immediately started calling me, where are you? Like, we heard what's happening in Ukraine. I'm like, I'm in Ukraine. They're like, what? What do you need? So all of that brought us a first funding, basically. And we went to Romania, and we bought a whole semi-truck of baby food. And we brought it to the region, and we gave it to the military administration. And they asked us, who you are? What are you organization? We're like, Zhanna and friends. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I have this logo that I created. And, the name. So why don't we be Bird of Light? And we put a Ukrainian flag on the background, because originally it was something else. So it became Bird of Light, Ukraine.
Beautiful.
And that's how we started. And ever since, I don't even know how many projects we have done, but we brought ambulances, 11 ambulances. We brought tons and tons of medical supplies. In the very first month of invasion, when big institutional organizations were not even there yet, we were already helping a lot. And then all my friends started to bring drones across the border in luggages, and we were supplying drones, and then it turned into night vision cameras and like the radio transmitters and Motorola's and like all different things that I never thought I'm going to be dealing with. And here I was in the middle of that. We also started to visit orphanages pretty soon. And supplying food, Pampers, hygiene products, toys, everything we could. And somehow, little by little, I don't even know if I reflect back, how did I do this? I think it was something from above guiding me, because it was just happening, and we got fundraised so much money, and we were able to deliver incredible amount of aid.
Yeah, because sometimes you need to be, after not being in Ukraine for so long properly, you needed to be in Ukraine in that moment, in that time, and also see that rehabilitation center and see the pain.
Yeah, and one of the like moments when something once and for all shifted is when we visited one of the pretty early in the war. It was like maybe March, April. I reached out to an organization in the United States called the World Orphan Fund. good friends and partners now. And I wrote to them just blindly on Facebook. I said, hey, I'm Ukrainian, we are in Ukraine, and there are so many children here that need help. And I see that your organization is specifically focusing on orphans. Do you think you can help? And then 2 hours later, I receive a phone call from this wonderful gentleman, a good friend now. And he said, look, if I'm going to fly to Ukraine, will you meet me and show me around? And I said, yes. And 2 days later, him and his partner crossed the border with Romania. And we met them and we brought them across the region, Chernivtsi, in Bukovina. Like we visited about 5 orphanages. And I was there as a guide, as a translator. And they were studying the situation. And one particular orphanage we have visited was Mahala orphanage, and that's an orphanage that received 53 children with severe disabilities. They were all transferred from eastern part of Ukraine, from Drushkivka, I believe, to the when the war broke out. They were transferred to the west. A lot of their documents were lost. It was a very difficult evacuation process, and these children really had severe complications with their health and developmental issues. And there was, this lady from Park Avenue, from New York, who was wearing expensive shoes and bags, suddenly in such a sad place that I felt like the whole pain of the world is collected in this specific institution. And there I was translating for the American organization the situation that was breaking my heart, life stream breaking heart experience. I remember then when I finished this, when we finished this tour around, and I remember these children, and I remember their eyes, and I remember how they were looking at me, and the adult group of boys, and one of them started running towards me, and all the nannies, they were like, and I just stood there, very serene, and this boy, he ran to me, and all he just wanted to do is to hug me, and he hugged me, and I was like, it was this hug, and he was so happy, and we looked at each other's eyes, and I remember this was, like the previous version of me would try not to ever be in a situation like this.
Yeah.
Because it's very difficult to face these things.
Yes.
And I remember we got out of this place. I said goodbye to the director, and RJ and World Orphan Fund representatives were there, and I said, I need a moment. I walked away, and I wept for 20 minutes, like I was crying so much, like loud. It was just hysterical, because it's like I had to stay put when I was there. I had to conduct my mission. I'm translating.
And also you cannot break down in front of the kids.
Yeah, and then I had it was like a wolf, howling, because it was really, and that's probably the moment when I realized, sometimes in life you do what you guided to do. And that's when I recognized that it was a dharmic path for me to come back to Ukraine in search of my childhood, in search of my father, in search of my roots, so that I can heal that in me and stay there, so that I can help
heal others.
And that's where I am. And it's it's a long way. It's a long way.
Yeah. But you're doing such an incredible work, and to carry, because you work with people who suffer, who are very unlucky and suffer, in this life every single day. How do you find that strength in you to do it?
That's a very good question. So my originally 5-day journey turned into a full-on 1.5 year on the ground, boots on the ground experience. So I stayed in the country for 1.5 years, and because of my strong meditation practice and my very solid spiritual core inside, there was a really kind of like, when you are in the movie theater and you're watching a movie, you're experiencing the movie, but you're not in it in some way. That's how I felt for the first kind of like half a year of the war. It was more like I was able to create this wall around me, that I am here, I'm responding to everything, I'm here to help, right? And but it's not getting into me in some way, because I was meditating every day, and I was just able to have this protection mechanism. But then one day it broke. I stopped meditating, and and that's when I went into a really dark place.
And you felt everything.
I felt everything all at once, like this. Every story, every experience. And I'm empath. Empath, that's someone who's like what you don't even have to say, I already feel it. And that's when I started to feel so much pain and experience so much hatred. I never thought I can experience the feeling of hating anything or anyone, even the most evil people, because there is this strong kind of strong knowing inside of me that every person, every being is a child that is perhaps hurt. That's why he acts out, including the worst people on the planet. So I'm always able to see inside and see that he or she is acting like this because there is a wound deep in her, right? So like I was able to see that, and then I started to, and when you're around all the time this context, and you understand that it's just beyond evil what's happening. It burst in me, and I started to feel so much hatred towards the Russians, all of them, and without even obviously distinguishing that maybe some of them are good people. I don't know. I couldn't see that.
Not in that moment. Not in that setting where you've been.
No, and so that's when I started to feel like, okay, I'm losing myself. Like, it's not me. I cannot be like that.
And then you went back.
Then I went back to United States, and it was a moment. So the first period, it was really crucial for me to be in Ukraine, because I'm Ukrainian. I brought a lot of international partners, organizations, and connections, and I plugged them in. Like, for instance, Direct Relief. They connected somehow. They connected through me, and I connected them to Department of Health in Chernivtsi Oblast, and the Department of Health was basically received. I don't even remember how many, 50 pallets of medical supplies that supplied a whole front line with medical gauze and the things they needed, right? Like blood stopping medications, all these things. So it was like gigantic aid that happened because, in that moment, I felt like my role was to be this kind of bridge through which a lot of things were connecting, because Ukrainians were doing so many efforts, but they were doing them very locally. They were not yet so much introduced to the international, how this whole thing works, right? And so Compassion Medical, also another organization, and Allied Extract, like a lot of organizations. So we were kind of like, it was important for me to be there because I was able to understand Ukrainian side, and I also have the American background. So we were connecting people, organizations, and facilitating a lot of these connections and facilitating a lot of aid to be happening, because we were able to be there and be trusted as an American organization, right? As Americans. And then I realized, so during this period, we've created such a fantastic network in Ukraine of people, like volunteers. At some point we had, I don't know, hundreds of volunteers who were driving across the country, and we were delivering tons and tons of food. One of the funny stories, actually, after the baby food, there was ambulances, there was medical supplies, there was tourniquets, and then eventually we got into the food, and that was before World Kitchen got in. So we, I think for like probably like April, May, June, July, we were conducting this gigantic project of food supplies towards Kharkiv and other eastern locations, Izum and others, and we had tons and tons of food that we were buying. And one of the times I remember, very first time, so first we were buying them from Romania, because the supply chain was interrupted and you could not buy so much in Ukraine. So we were driving to Romania, buying there, and then we established connections and buying in mass quantities in Romania. Then I think we went to one day's local administration, the regional administration told us, oh, Zhanna, we don't have rice, to put into these packs for humanitarian boxes to send to Kharkiv. So Isaac and I, we get in the car, we drive 19 hours straight to Istanbul, go to bazaar, we buy food for like $50,000, rice including, and we like get trucks and we go back to Chernivtsi, and the trucks follow us 2 days later, and we bring all his food, and we're like, oh, that's a good project, let's do it more. So we had a couple of other rounds of food from Turkey. And then we decided, no, now it's time to buy everything in Ukraine. And we transitioned everything that we can support, the local economy. So we started to buy everything in Ukraine locally. And I think we, at that point, it was like about 80,000 people that received our packages over the course of like 3 months. And then World Kitchen came in, and we're like, okay, they much bigger.
And then give it back.
It's always was like this, like we kind of like, because I'm talking to Ukrainians, I see what they do, and Ukrainians are very creative. They're already doing it, but they're doing it with their own efforts, which is like sometimes the neighbors collected money and they give something, right? Yeah. So we were always finding these initiatives that are good, viable, and I see that they make sense. And we would be like, okay, this is a good initiative, let's pump it in, like pump some funding into it and make it bigger. So we were always supporting these initiatives that were already existing, but with small funding, and we would always inject more funding so that they flourish, right? And then let's say over the few months, a big organization comes in and does it, and we were always this one step ahead, kind of like when Ukrainians do it locally, we do it a little bit bigger and more effectively, because we always find best suppliers. Isaac is fantastic about finding the good suppliers. We try to spend every dollar in a way that we stretch every dollar. We make sure that everything is super efficient. I'm like cheap lady on that, I'm like, no, let's make sure that we actually, extremely efficient. So and then let's say a big organization comes in, just like this with Mahala recently, right? You went with us to Minneapolis, right? So I don't know if you remember, we talked about Mahala.
Yeah.
So after that, what we did is we founded Mahala staff team, right? So that they can provide services for children for, I think, 4 months.
And so you really accumulated the knowledge that we got in Minnesota with the programs and the types of the care that needs to be provided in Mahala.
Well, it's more like so there are local organizations that are doing, let's say, already providing service, because neither I or my Isaac can work with children, right?
Yeah.
Who need special care, but we understand and we believe in what they do. And so there is an organization called Social Synergy. They're trained psychologists who came in, kind of like what they were telling us in Minneapolis, right? It has to be specialized, special care kind of.
So to explain, we went to Minneapolis on a tour around all of the different specialized schools to learn how to work with disabled kids, with orphans, build the good foster care systems. I was basically learning with you guys just as a part of the team, but you were the primary guests to go and learn exactly how the U.S. best state when it comes to dealing with disabled kids is doing the work there.
Yeah,
to adopt it in
it's
Ukraine.
a lot to learn. It's very impressive work. And so in Mahala case, we came back after that trip, and we partnered with European Disability Forum and Social Synergy, who had the expertise, and we funded their program for several months in Mahala institution, and it created a tremendous results, incredible. I'm so happy, because these children who were, they were just like, they didn't even know how to brush their teeth sometimes, or just didn't know how to socialize. And now these children with the intensive care, they play, they engage with each other, they hold hands, they try to communicate. It's a completely different children, it's like very different children from what we first met, how we first met them, and now. So the long story short, why I'm giving this example specifically is because, again, Bird of Light came in. We knew the story of Mahala. We knew how difficult it is, this institution. I was just unbelievably touched by people who work there. And I remember holding their hands and saying, thank you for the work you do. And I knew it was not enough. They were not enough. It was 4 women taking care of 50 kids or something. So we hired this group of Social Synergy and under European Disability Forum supervision, who is specialized in expert knowledge about the subject. And now, guess what? So we helped this program to take off, and now UNICEF picks it up.
Amazing.
So the same thing, you see, this is always kind of happens to be our niche. We always, and I think it's Bird of Light, because I feel like Bird of Light is a character. It's the organization is not me or Isaac. It's Bird of Light. It's its own kind of being, because it's almost like our role is to bring light in the darkest places, in the darkest time, where somebody, maybe institutional donor, is going to be a little bit skeptical in the beginning to invest in this initiative, or perhaps they need more time to analyze it. They have so much decision-making process. Once they get in, once they start supporting it, fantastic. They have funding. It's a system. It's but in this between stage, it's always questionable, and it's always kind of like they don't have enough funding to prove that they're doing a good job. And that's when we come in. We believe in you. We want to make sure that you guys succeed, right? And that's somehow happens to be our
mission,
niche, somewhere somewhere in this beginning stages to believe. I believe it's so important to believe in good people and just give them a hand in that initial stage, right? It's just like when a little girl goes to school first day. You just, a little boy, you just like welcome them, you know, you give them a affirmative feeling that they can do it.
It's amazing. I feel like now that we've been talking,
Yeah.
through maybe an hour and a half or something, and the whole story that you've been telling me about your early years, about your work when you were studying, after you were studying, and then right up to the moment before the war started, as if your whole life was preparing you for this. It's exactly what it seems to me, that you, as you told me that when you were a kid, you were organizing kids.
Yeah.
Now you are managing this huge, basically it's logistical organization, because you need to fundraise, you need to find suppliers, you need to find projects, and you need to also bring your energy and build that compelling story to make these bigger institutions to believe that exactly this is the project that is worth investing in because it will do good for the people. I feel like this is your life mission.
Yeah, and you see, that's perhaps, you know, it clicked to me when I was in Ukraine, when I was processing this whole pain about my father, separation from my father, and it clicked to me, oh my God, of course. I had to be born in this little town. I had to be born in the family that split. And I had to follow my mom, who went all the way to the United States. And I had to live that whole life and experience and meet all these people, because all my a lot of my supporters of Bird of Light are friends whom I know from different paths of life, from different experiences in New York, right? So, and it all clicked to me that I had to make that loop in order to come back. And my father was the anchor. He is the anchor that brought me back to my roots, to my home, to my land, right? So that I can make this whole loop and come back, you know, and bring all this experience and all this contacts and network that helps me to help my people today. So yeah, in some way, you're right. It is so like that. But we also always try to do something. I look at everything in each project very creatively. And we also have a very strong advocacy arm right now in the United States. So we've done a number of projects together with Bring Kids Back, about the abducted 19,546 abducted children. We did a fantastic event with one of the artists in New York, Phil Bochler, and it went all the way to the New York Times, The Guardian, and it was really
Empty Beds.
Empty Beds, exactly. That installation, we brought it to Japan, and it went.
Explain more about the installation.
Yeah. Okay, so installation Empty Beds is. A series of photographs taken by Phil Bochler, a good friend of mine. And he went to Ukraine and he visited places, bedrooms of children who are lucky to be returned from abduction. And pictures are of their bedrooms from the height of the child. So if, let's say, a room in place is a child of 10 years old, he takes it from that angle. And we printed these images in life size. And in New York City, in Ukrainian village, we had a whole wall, a long wall, with these rooms. And in front of each room there was a chair, and a person could sit in front of it and look inside of this room and experience what the parent might be experiencing, missing his child, that is just simply illegally taken from the Ukrainian family and a lot of times placed into a Russian adoption system, or just this child lives in a educational camp, brainwashing camp, and all sorts of scenarios. So there's a big initiative by President Zelensky to bring these children back. So we collaborated with Bring Kids Back together, and we have done this project Empty Beds, and now the next one we did in Tokyo, which was a little bit different format, but it went on a national TV and had a big success. We also printed books with stories of each child in Japanese, and we distributed these books in kindergartens across Tokyo and Osaka. And so at least there is an awareness about this, and a lot of people don't know. Even in Ukraine, a lot of people didn't know up until recently that there is a massive abduction that Russia is conducting against Ukrainian children. So we're hoping that the next one will be in London, Brussels, and I want to do one in DC. So this is one of our advocacy campaign. And as along with that, we're also launching the kind of like in each city where we are, we're launching kind of like this campaign, Abducted, where we put posters across the city with stories and phrases of children who sometimes go like things like, they held a gun next to my head and threatened my life, and they said, nobody needs you, Ukraine doesn't exist, things like that. So there are like these stories of children, and we share them across in different languages, depending on the city where we are. So that's another.
My heart is just going, like stopping for long seconds when I'm listening to this.
Yes, it's so brutal. It's so sad.
So what is next now for Bird of Light?
Okay, so now we are, these days, as we speak, we are sending off about 10,000 humanitarian boxes to food boxes with a month's worth of supply of food to the most frontline locations where people unfortunately are still residing. A lot of times it's elders, disabled, and just people who, they say, it's my home, where am I gonna go? And you cannot convince them to leave. And there is nothing working there, like no shops. It's a full-on shelling non-stop. It's Kramatorsk, for instance, like this today's what, Thursday? Wednesday. This Saturday, my team is going to Kramatorsk, and it's a dangerous place. So we bought and assembled 10,000 this like humanitarian boxes that we're going to be distributing across the frontline locations, together with the World Orphan Fund and Diamondback Energy, who is our major donor for this project. And we're partnering with VPO Ukraina as a boots on the ground organization that does all the logistical distribution. I'm flying to Ukraine tomorrow morning to oversee the project. Another one is we are working on, we just distributed 90,000 liters of drinking water in Apostolovo, which was completely cut out of the technical and drinking water after the Kakhovka dam exploded. So it's painful. It's so sad because these people celebrate drinking water. There is no water, so we're distributing 90,000 liters, and we're hoping to drill a well in this village so that they have drinking water there. So these are like humanitarian projects that we're working on, and as I said earlier, we also developing the the program for the psycho-emotional rehabilitation for the soldiers, which I'm really excited about. I really believe in this, and I really want the scale of psychological support that is needed in the country.
It's insane.
Every single person, not even only soldiers. Imagine mothers, children, elders, men who come back from front lines, teenagers. I mean, some of the teenagers growing up in a constant war. Like, you know, if it's 2014, today's 2025. Some children have never lived without war.
Yeah.
So that is a big one for me, because I originally my whole dream, even before the war started, was to create places where people can heal their souls. Originally, I wanted to do it only for women, to reconnect women to their power from within, and through different mediums of singing, dancing, fire elements, staying together, healing the relationship with their mothers and with each other, because I think women is such a strong force in the world. Indeed,
they are. I'm looking at one. Yes.
Well, we all are, and all is just that we need to reconnect to that, and support each other and stay together, and also celebrate each other. It's so important to celebrate each other, and to because when one woman rises, all of us rise.
Yeah.
That's how it is. And I feel like this world, it's this today's reality is proving that the masculine has shown what it's capable of, and the feminine needs to counterbalance that, and
needs to heal.
Needs to heal. And how does it begin? As we spoke yesterday, right, during our dinner. Masculine. Who is masculine? We all have. First of all, women have masculine side and feminine side. It's a balance, right? But I believe if we have strong women, strong not in the sense of I'm strong, I can do everything, I don't need anybody. Strong in the sense that she is so rooted in her divine power, in her connection to nature, in her connection to herself. She believes in herself. She supports other women. Then these women will give birth to sons who will be also healed, who will be also honoring.
I love this.
Honoring land, people, their mothers, their girlfriends, their wives, their children, and you know, if we can relate and see each other through that lens, maybe there will be no wars.
We very hope for that. And now I'm very happy to hear that Bird of Light has 3 years.
Yes.
These days. And just one of the last questions, you know, before we wrap up. Are you planning to keep Bird of Light the way it is as a humanitarian charity foundation even when the war ends? Or even if you even thought about it? Or will you go back to your original idea and, you know, support the women creators and artisans?
I think it's all transforming as we go, you know. It's so difficult to make plans these days. I think, how do we say, God, like, how do they say that? God is, we make plans, but God kind of shapes them, right, in some way. I know the Bird of Light will fly, continue flying, because she's a bird, she gotta fly. Yes. She is definitely going to be present in Ukraine, and I'm looking forward to when the war is over. There will be so much more work, and the work will be probably even more demanding, because now we're putting band-aids here and there, right? What are these boxes? We're delivering these boxes, People eat, and
Yeah.
but Band-Aid is today.
Yeah.
Healing is an ongoing long mission, and it's going to take many years, generations. So I will just put my droplet into this ocean of need for that. And in which form, as I said, I think it will start with this with the healing program for the veterans. And it will evolve, because my dream is to have a place where people can come to and heal and connect to themselves in nature and find the way back to happiness, joy, and peace inside of them.
Zhanna, thank you so much. I'm looking at the bird of light for Ukraine. So thank you for agreeing to talk to me. Thank you for sharing your such a deep story, such a personal story. Thank you so much for talking to me. I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yulia. It's a pleasure to share this with you and stay together. Yes, girls.
Thank you.